What if the biggest barrier to launching your idea isn't money, connections, or even talent? What if the real currency that separates successful ventures from failed dreams is something most business schools never teach? In today's economy, the traditional resources matter less than you think. In his book, Poke the Box, marketing guru Seth Godin reveals a fundamental shift in how business success actually works now. He argues that in our current economy, money has become surprisingly cheap. What's expensive and rare is something he calls instigation capital, the drive to take initiative and turn ideas into reality. Godin points to a striking example. In 2012, 67 internet startups launched in San Francisco and New York. Traditionally, that amount of capital would have funded only 20 companies in Silicon Valley. This dramatic shift shows how drastically cheaper it's become to operate a business. The economic landscape has fundamentally transformed. This creates a paradox most entrepreneurs miss. Everyone can now learn marketing, distribution, and business operations from classes or online courses. These skills are accessible and affordable. But here's what no class teaches: the instigation itself, the spark that pushes an idea from concept to reality. Without someone to drive things forward, there's no business to market. Consider Wikipedia's story. Regular people started it in 2001, building an open encyclopedia anyone could contribute to. They weren't trying to destroy Encyclopedia Britannica, but that's exactly what happened. Why? Encyclopedia Britannica possessed money, prestige, and resources. What they lacked was instigation capital, the initiative to seize the internet's potential. Countless investors today stand ready to fund the next breakthrough idea. The funding ecosystem has never been more accessible. Angel investors, venture capital, crowdfunding platforms. The money is there, waiting. So what separates the next Wikipedia from the next Encyclopedia Britannica? Only one thing: the initiative to bring that vision to life. This is what Godin means by poking the box. It's a metaphor from a toy his uncle created. A box covered in switches and buttons that produce different lights and sounds depending on what you pressed. Curious people don't just stare at the box. They poke it. They experiment. They see what happens. Take computer programming as an example of this principle. You don't become an innovative programmer by following someone else's code step by step. That's not how new software emerges. Successful programmers poke the box. They try something new, observe the result, then adjust. Trial and error, experimentation, initiative. Your idea doesn't need to revolutionize the world. Godin emphasizes this point. It could be something small, finding a better way to handle angry customers and teaching your method to others. The scale doesn't matter. What matters is making that first poke, taking that initial step. But here's the catch: the first step alone isn't enough. Success requires both passion and patience. Consider Annie Duke, the former World Series poker champion who built a $4 million career. She started broke, just trying to pay bills. She gave the box its first poke by attending her first poker game. She won $2,000. But she didn't stop there. Duke kept poking the box relentlessly. She studied the game deeply, tested new strategies, failed, tried different approaches, refined her methods. She could have walked away at dozens of points during her journey, but by putting in the effort to master her craft, she became one of the planet's best players. Repeated initiative created mastery. This reveals something crucial about instigation capital. It's not just about the dramatic first move. It's about sustained initiative. The economy has shifted because maintaining this drive matters more than having traditional resources. You can have all the money and connections in the world. Without the push to keep experimenting, you'll get nowhere. But most people hit a wall here: fear of failure. This simple concept stops more initiatives than lack of funding ever could. The word failure sends shivers through us. We let it prevent that crucial first poke. Yet anyone who's achieved something significant will tell you the same thing. Failure is absolutely natural. When you poke the box, sometimes the box pokes back. You hit roadblocks. Things don't work as planned. This isn't a sign you should quit. It's a natural part of evolution. Once you recognize failure as part of the process rather than the end of the road, success often takes care of itself. Take the Canadian indie rock band Colorado. They didn't achieve overnight fame. It took 4 grinding years of creative dedication for them to break through. Initially, American venues kept rejecting them. Door after door closed. The band remained undeterred. They started taking risks that required instigation capital, not money. The band would show up at venues with a fabricated story. They'd claim a nearby gig had canceled. Could they possibly play a small set before heading home? This approach required pure initiative, not funding. It never hurts to try once luck. And remarkably, it often worked. Initiative opened doors money couldn't. Their biggest initiative came next. They secured a 3-week tour in China. After completing it, they recorded a song in Mandarin and self-released it on the internet. This single act of instigation enabled them to return for another tour 6 months later. One bold poke created momentum. Being in a rock band isn't a guaranteed recipe for success. The traditional path requires money for recording, promotion, and touring. But whatever challenges this band encountered, they succeeded through outside-the-box solutions. Solutions that required instigation capital. They kept poking. They kept moving forward, doing what they loved most. This pattern repeats across successful modern ventures. The companies and individuals winning today aren't necessarily those with the deepest pockets. They're the ones with the strongest instigation capital. Google exemplifies this perfectly. They constantly have teams developing next-generation tools and projects. Most will fail. Google's model accepts that the majority of their ideas will never see daylight. But as long as 1 or 2 prove successful, those few successes outweigh the many failures. This is instigation capital in action. Continuous experimentation. Constant initiative. The willingness to poke the box repeatedly despite frequent setbacks. Compare this to Yahoo or About.com. These companies possessed enormous financial resources. They had market position, infrastructure, and capital. What they lacked was sustained instigation capital, the continuous drive to experiment and innovate. Money couldn't buy what mattered most, the initiative to keep poking the box. This new economic reality creates both challenge and opportunity. The challenge? You can't rely on traditional advantages anymore. Having money and connections isn't enough. The opportunity? If you cultivate instigation capital, you can compete with anyone. The playing field has leveled. Initiative is the great equalizer. However, there's a trap many fall into: overstarting. Some people love taking on new projects before completing previous ones. While having endless ideas seems positive, overstarting often becomes self-sabotage. Every moment looks like a chance to start something new. But inappropriate timing ruins potentially good ideas. Godin shares an example. Imagine spotting Elton John at a restaurant. An overstarter sees this as the perfect moment to ask him to sing at their daughter's wedding, even if that makes no sense. This spontaneous behavior comes off as rude and unrealistic. It sabotages what could have been a valuable future collaboration. Effective instigation requires full commitment. When you initiate something, you must devote the time and effort needed to see it through to completion. Godin once received an email before a seminar. A stranger wanted a 30-minute backstage meeting. The email revealed total lack of preparation. This guaranteed the project would likely fail. Setting yourself up to fail is easy. Anyone can do that. True instigation capital combines initiative with preparation and perseverance. These qualities separate those who succeed from those who simply dream. When you're well prepared, it shows during meetings with potential collaborators. It instills confidence and willingness to join your journey. This preparation doesn't contradict the spirit of poking the box. You still need to start before you feel ready. You still need to experiment and fail, but your experiments should be thoughtful. Your failures should teach you something. Your initiative should be paired with dedication. This combination is unstoppable in the new economy. Henry Ford's assembly line revolutionized manufacturing. It became the dominant production mode worldwide. But today's most innovative companies like Apple and Pixar organize differently. They build teams around projects, not assembly lines. This structure itself demonstrates instigation capital. Each project requires someone to drive it forward. This is the fundamental truth most people miss about success in our current era. We've been taught that resources determine outcomes, that funding, connections, and credentials open doors. But the economic transformation Godin describes has flipped this equation. Instigation capital now matters more than financial capital. The drive to experiment, to start, to keep pushing forward despite failures. This is what separates those who build from those who watch. Remember that question from the start? What's the real currency now? It's not what you have in your bank account. It's what you have in your willingness to poke the box. And here's the last dab. If you had unlimited instigation capital but $0 versus unlimited dollars but zero initiative, which would take you further? That's the real poke of the box. Not just about starting, but about building the renewable resource of drive itself. Get the book through the links below and discover how to cultivate your own instigation capital. If this resonated, hit subscribe and explore more books on Deep Into Books. The next great venture is waiting. Not for funding, for you to make the first move.